I believe that a godly home is a foretaste of heaven. Our homes, as imperfect as they are, must be a haven from the chaos outside. They should be a reflection of our eternal home, where troubled souls find peace, wearied hearts find rest, hungry bodies find refreshment, lonely pilgrims find communion, and wounded soldiers find compassion. The reason why I wanted to start out by reading this quote today is because I'm doing part 2 of the hospitality series. And so if you haven't seen part 1, I recommend you go back and watch that first, because it is all about the preparation that goes into hospitality. And as I learned from all of you who sent me these wonderful tips on Instagram, preparation seems to be really a key component to hosting. Absolutely love this quote that I just read, because when I think about my home, and I imagine someday the environment, the aroma of my home I want it to have when I'm inviting people in, I think this quote embodies all of that so very well. So I also wanted to say, if you haven't seen that first video, I'll link it down below. Maybe jump down and watch that one first. And I mentioned in that video that I did not make up these tips myself, because I don't know what I'm doing with hosting. And so these were ones that people shared with me on Instagram. So thank you so much. So without any further ado, let's jump into these hosting tips. So your guests have just arrived. This tip kind of comes from a bit of a fear I have myself, and that is if I'm going to someone's house for the first time, especially if they live in like a really tight-knit neighborhood, I am always so afraid that I'll accidentally show up at the wrong house, go and knock on the wrong door, or when you just have to invite yourself in because it's like a big group of people. That's like a big fear of mine. And so to avoid your guests feeling this way and feeling kind of uncomfortable as they pull up to some house they've never been to before, I recommend that you either greet them at the door or else that you maybe make your way out to their car as they're getting out to say hello. I think it's just a friendly way to welcome people, and it's a little less uncomfortable. The next tip that I have for you is sometimes when you transition from your shoes and your coats in the car to a house and settling down and getting adjusted, it can be slightly awkward. And so the first thing that I would recommend doing is offering a drink. This time of year, it's coffee, wassail, cider, something warm and cozy. I don't know why having just like a little warm cup of something is so comforting. After that, the first thing that I like to do personally is give people a really brief tour of our house if they've never been here before. My 2 main goals with this is 1, to show any kids that they have where the toys are so they can be entertained, and 2, so that you can see where the bathroom is. Because I don't know, but sometimes when you haven't known people very well and you're in the middle of a conversation, you're like, hold on, gotta use the toilet, need to pee. It can be slightly awkward. And so I don't want my guests to feel that way. I want them to just feel like they know where everything is and this home is very comfortable to them. And so that is my main goal. And you know how you'll meet those little old grandmas, and like as they show you through their house, every single thing they own has like this super cool backstory history. If you have anything like that, I think this is a great time to share it. Sadly, I don't really have any of those type of really neat, cool stories yet, but I look forward to the day when I do. So now let's jump into the next tip that I received, and that is that if dinner's going to be a little while, if you're still working on it, offer your guests some type of snack. This could be nuts, crackers, cheese. I thought this was such a great idea because sometimes we'll have people over after church, and it takes a little while to get all the food drummed up for lunch, and yet I'm starving, so I'm sure my guests are too. So that's a good little tip. My next tip kind of goes along the same lines, and that is to make enough food. When I give this tip, I think of my mom. Growing up, every Sunday afternoon we would come home from church and there was a crock pot of roast, potatoes, vegetables, carrots, onions, celery, and it didn't matter who we invited home from church. We always had enough food, and it was simple, it was easy, it was healthy, but it was great, and it made people feel welcomed, and I definitely want to imitate that. And that's not an area I'm naturally good in because I tend to skimp out on the food and not make enough, so that's something I'm working on. The next one I received was from a podcast, and I just love what these women had to share. They talked all about serving and anticipating your guests' needs, and how this might look is offering, hey, are you cold? Can I get you a blanket? Would you like a pillow behind your back? Should I open the window? Is it too hot in here? Should I build a fire? How can I serve you? What can I give you for a drink? I think of my brother. when we go to his house, he anticipates our needs. He anticipates filling that next glass we have with hot cocoa or coffee or water or whatever it is before I even realize my cup is empty. And he's just a really good example of serving. And so that is definitely an area that I want to grow in. The next tip that I received I thought was so very helpful. And that is that this woman said, when we have newer people over, we'll eat dinner, we'll go maybe visit in the living room for a while. But as soon as things start to get kind of awkward and we run out of stuff to say, I automatically take this as the cue that it is time for dessert. And I thought that was just really, really clever. So if you come to my house and I offer you dessert, you know things have just gotten really awkward. No, I'm kidding. Dessert is good either way. All right, the next one that I received many, many times was just being genuine, transparent, and real. And I 100% agree. I know when I'm around someone, even if I don't know them very well, if they're just honest and real and talk about things that might not even make them look super good or impressive, I immediately feel like I can do the same. So I think if you can master just being genuine, you pretty much have hosting in the bag. The last thing, and this is kind of a personal one, you can do it, you can take it or leave it, but when I think of childhood, I think of when my grandparents would come over and we would all stand on the porch and wave when they left. And I don't know why, but I just have fond memories with this and feel like it's just going the extra mile. I hope these tips were helpful. Be sure to go back and check and watch my first video and comment down below if I forgot to mention any, because I am a student and I'm trying to learn how to host. So thank you so very much and have a fabulous week. I'll see you hopefully next Saturday. Bye-bye.